Jan and Quiana Pietrzak seemed like an ordinary couple living an ordinary life, until the night everything they knew shattered, and Jan was forced to watch a nightmare unfold that no husband should ever have to face. Jan and Quiana Pietrzak's life looked flawless from the outside. Nestled in a quiet suburban neighborhood, their house was a picture of comfort and stability, with a neatly trimmed lawn and bright flower beds welcoming visitors. The couple had been together for over a decade, married for 7 years, and had built a family around their 2 young children. Jan, a successful architect, spent long hours designing buildings, but always made time for his family. Quiana was the heart of their home, friendly, caring, and active in the local community. To everyone who knew them, they seemed like the perfect family living a peaceful life. Neighbors often saw them sharing laughter during weekend barbecues or watching their children play in the yard. Quiana was known for organizing neighborhood events and volunteering at the school, earning respect and admiration from those around her. Jan's colleagues described him as dedicated and reliable, a man who took pride in his work and family. Their life was one many aspired to, stable and secure. But beneath the surface, not everything was as perfect as it seemed. In the months leading up to the story's dramatic events, subtle signs of trouble began to appear. Jan noticed small things missing from the house: his favorite watch, some important documents, even a few small amounts of money that couldn't be explained. At first, he thought he might have misplaced these items, or that the children had taken them during play. But as the missing things piled up, unease settled over him. When he asked Quiana about it, she gave vague answers or changed the subject quickly, which made Jan feel confused and frustrated. Strange phone calls became more frequent late at night. Jan would hear Quiana whispering on the phone, or quickly ending conversations as he entered the room. Though he trusted her deeply, the secrecy gnawed at him. Quiana's mood shifted too. The warm smile he was used to seemed forced at times. She became distant and distracted, often locking herself in the study for long stretches. Jan found it hard to reach her emotionally, and she refused to talk about what was troubling her. Their once open and honest relationship was starting to crumble. Despite these warning signs, Jan held on to hope, convincing himself that whatever was wrong could be fixed. He told himself that everyone has bad days, and that Quiana was just stressed with the demands of raising children and managing their busy household. Friends noticed the tension too, but Jan brushed off their concerns. He didn't want to believe that the woman he loved could be hiding something dangerous or dark. The tension in their home grew, however, and small arguments erupted more often. The once peaceful sanctuary became a place filled with silent moments and unanswered questions. Jan's work began to suffer as he struggled to focus, distracted by worry and suspicion. His sleepless nights grew longer, haunted by a sense of dread he couldn't explain. Something was wrong, but he didn't yet know how deep the darkness went. The perfect life the Pietrzaks had built was on the edge of collapse. With every passing day, the invisible cracks beneath their smiling facade widened, setting the stage for a tragedy that would shock their community and unravel secrets no husband should ever have to witness. One evening, everything changed. Jan returned home from work expecting to see Quiana and the children playing in the living room, just like any other day. But the house was unusually quiet. The children's toys were scattered about, but there was no sign of Quiana anywhere. At first, Jan thought she might have stepped out for a quick walk or run an errand nearby. He checked her phone, but it was off, something she rarely did. Hours passed, and still no word from Quiana. A growing unease began to settle in Jan's chest. Something wasn't right. Jan called neighbors and friends, hoping someone had seen her or knew where she might be. No one had. He contacted the local police, and soon an investigation was underway. Officers searched the neighborhood and scoured nearby parks, but there was no trace of Quiana. The police began to treat her disappearance as a possible abduction, and Jan felt the weight of helplessness crushing down on him. Every minute without news made the silence in their home feel heavier. As the investigation unfolded, unsettling details started to emerge. The police found signs of a struggle inside the house, furniture slightly moved, a broken window upstairs that seemed forced open. It was clear that whoever had taken Quiana had done so violently and with purpose. Jan's mind raced, trying to piece together what might have happened. Why would someone want to hurt his wife? Who could have done this? Detectives found surveillance footage from nearby security cameras that captured a shadowy figure lurking near the Pietrzak home in the days leading up to Quiana's disappearance. The figure was careful to avoid cameras, making it difficult to identify them. Jan stared at the grainy images, desperate to recognize anyone, but the face was obscured by a hood. The more the police dug, the more questions arose without answers. Meanwhile, Jan's sense of reality began to unravel. He discovered a hidden folder on Quiana's laptop, filled with encrypted messages, strings of random letters and numbers that made no sense at first glance. The messages suggested a secret life Quiana had been leading, one that Jan had never known about. Panic and confusion swept through him. Had Quiana been in danger for a long time? Was there something she was trying to protect him from? Neighbors, once so friendly and trusting, now watched Jan with curiosity and suspicion. Rumors started to circulate. Some speculated that the Pietrzak's perfect life had been a facade, hiding secrets and lies. Jan struggled to keep his composure, trying to hold his family together, while the world around them shifted into chaos. The disappearance of Quiana shattered the peaceful image of their home and forced Jan to face a reality far darker than he had ever imagined. Every step forward in the investigation revealed more mystery and danger. The man who had once believed in the safety and love of his family was now caught in a nightmare, watching helplessly as the pieces of a sinister puzzle slowly fell into place. As the investigation into Quiana's disappearance deepened, the unsettling truth about her life began to surface, casting a dark shadow over everything Jan thought he knew. The encrypted messages on her laptop were finally decoded with the help of cybercrime experts, revealing a hidden world far removed from the peaceful suburban life she had presented. Quiana had been involved in a secret network operating in the shadows, one connected to criminal activities that went well beyond petty theft or local disputes. This was something far more dangerous, involving high-stakes crime, blackmail, and threats that could destroy lives. Jan struggled to understand how Quiana, the woman he had loved and trusted, could be connected to such a dangerous world. The messages included coded warnings and frantic pleas for help. It became clear that Quiana had been living under immense pressure, trapped in a situation she couldn't escape. She had been forced to keep secrets, to play a role in something sinister. The fact that she had hidden this from Jan made him feel betrayed, confused, and desperate to know the full truth. More disturbing was the discovery that Quiana had been communicating with people Jan had once considered friends. Some names popped up repeatedly in the encrypted messages. People Jan had invited to their home for dinners, people he had trusted. The web of connections revealed a hidden side to the community, one where loyalty was fragile and danger lurked beneath the surface. This revelation tore Jan apart, forcing him to question the intentions of those closest to him. Investigators also found evidence that Quiana had tried to break free from this network. Several notes and recordings suggested she had planned to expose the group's illegal activities, but feared the consequences. The threats against her were real and growing stronger. This explained the strange behavior Jan had noticed, the secretive phone calls, the distance, the fear hidden behind her eyes. Quiana had been living a double life, fighting to protect her family while trapped in a nightmare. Jan's world became a battleground between hope and despair. He wanted to believe that Quiana would come back safe, but the more he learned, the more dangerous the situation seemed. He also realized that his own safety might be at risk. The people behind this network were powerful, willing to silence anyone who threatened to expose them. Every new discovery added another piece to a terrifying puzzle. Jan uncovered plans, transactions, and messages that connected his wife's captors to influential figures beyond their town, involving smuggling, fraud, and even violence. The reality was far more complicated than a simple disappearance. It was part of a larger conspiracy with deep roots, and Quiana was caught in the center. Jan faced a heartbreaking truth. His wife's secret life had put them all in grave danger. Trust was shattered, alliances broken, and the man who had once believed in safety and love was forced to navigate a dark world he had never imagined. The Pietrzak case was no longer just about a missing wife. It was about survival, betrayal, and the fight to bring justice to a hidden criminal empire. The shocking truth behind Quiana's disappearance took a devastating turn when Jan received an unexpected anonymous tip. The message contained a location, an isolated cabin deep in the woods, miles away from any nearby town or road. Jan's heart raced with a mix of hope and fear as he shared the information with the police. A rescue operation was quickly organized, and officers set out toward the remote site. When they arrived, what they found was both a relief and a horror. Inside the cabin, Quiana was discovered weak and injured, barely conscious but alive. She had clearly been held captive for days, her physical condition a testament to the brutal treatment she had endured. The cabin itself was sparse, with signs of struggle and neglect. Police immediately secured the area and called for medical assistance. For Jan, seeing Quiana alive but in such a fragile state was both a blessing and a heartbreaking reminder of the horrors she had faced. As investigations continued at the cabin and within the evidence collected, a revelation struck. Jan harder than any blow. His own brother was implicated as the mastermind behind the abduction. Jan's brother, someone he had trusted and considered family, was revealed to have orchestrated the entire plan. Motive and jealousy fueled the betrayal. His brother had long resented Jan's success and happiness and sought control over Quiana as a twisted way to hurt him. The betrayal cut through Jan like a knife, unraveling his trust and shaking his world to its core. The extent of the brothers' involvement became clearer with each new piece of evidence. Bank records, communications, and witness statements painted a disturbing picture of a man consumed by envy and rage, willing to destroy everything Jan had built. It was not only a crime against Quiana, but a calculated attack on Jan's entire life. The realization that a family member could be capable of such cruelty left Jan reeling. Quiana's ordeal in captivity had been terrifying. She had endured isolation, threats, and abuse, all designed to break her will and silence her. Yet despite the horrors, she showed remarkable resilience. Medical teams worked tirelessly to stabilize her physical health, while psychologists began providing support to help her recover mentally and emotionally. The road ahead would be long and painful, but Quiana's survival became a symbol of hope amid the darkness. Jan's emotions swung between relief, anger, and sorrow. The man who had once been his brother was now his greatest enemy. He felt betrayed, not only by the crime itself, but by the destruction of the family bonds he had valued so deeply. Determined to seek justice, Jan cooperated fully with law enforcement, providing all the information he could to ensure his brother faced the full consequences of his actions. The community, shaken by the revelations, watched as the case unfolded in the public eye. Jan's strength and determination became an inspiration for many, but the wounds ran deep. The Pietrzak family, once admired for their perfect life, was now a symbol of how quickly trust could be shattered and how darkness could hide in the most unexpected places. The arrest and charges against Jan's brother marked a turning point. In the case, but for Jan and Quiana, the battle was far from over. Healing and rebuilding would take time, and the scars of betrayal would remain. Yet amid the pain, Jan found a new purpose: to fight for his wife, for justice, and to protect others from suffering similar horrors. With Quiana finally rescued and her captor, Jan's own brother, brought to justice, the Pietrzak family faced the long, difficult journey of healing and rebuilding their lives. Quiana's physical wounds slowly began to heal, but the emotional scars ran deep. The trauma she had endured left her shaken, fearful and uncertain about the future. Jan stood by her side, determined to support her in every way possible, even as he struggled with his own feelings of betrayal, guilt, and heartbreak. The trial of Jan's brother became a public spectacle, drawing intense media attention. The courtroom was filled with a mixture of shock and disbelief as the details of the conspiracy unfolded. Evidence of the calculated kidnapping, coercion, and abuse was laid bare, revealing the depths of jealousy and cruelty that had driven the betrayal. Jan testified with a heavy heart, recounting the impact of his brother's actions on their family and the community. The verdict was clear. His brother was found guilty on multiple counts, including kidnapping, conspiracy, and attempted assault, and was sentenced to a lengthy prison term. Despite the conviction, the sense of loss lingered. Jan and Quiana faced challenges they had never anticipated. Trust, once shattered, was hard to rebuild, not only between them but within their wider circle of friends and neighbors. The Pietrzaks became cautious, aware that their private pain had become public knowledge. Yet in the face of adversity, Jan and Quiana's bond grew stronger. They learned to lean on each other, finding strength in shared resilience and hope. Jan's experience inspired him to take action beyond his personal healing. He became an advocate for victims of coercion, domestic violence, and emotional abuse. Through speaking engagements and community work, he aimed to raise awareness about the hidden dangers that can lurk behind closed doors. Jan wanted others to understand that appearances can be deceiving, and that sometimes the most horrific crimes happen where they are least expected. His story became a warning and a call to action. Quiana, too, found a new purpose. Slowly reclaiming her voice, she worked with support groups to help others recover from trauma. Her courage in sharing her experience encouraged many survivors to come forward and seek help. Together, Jan and Quiana dedicated themselves to breaking the cycle of silence that often surrounds abuse and violence. Their journey was painful but necessary, turning tragedy into hope for others. The Pietrzak case left a lasting mark on their community. It reminded everyone that darkness can hide behind a perfect smile, and that vigilance and compassion are essential. The story of Jan and Quiana became more than a tale of crime. It became a story of survival, forgiveness, and the power of love to overcome even the deepest wounds. While the scars of the past would never fully disappear, Jan and Quiana proved that healing was possible. They rebuilt their life one day at a time, committed to protecting their family and helping others avoid the fate they had narrowly escaped. Theirs was a crime no husband should have to watch, but it was also a story of hope, one that could inspire change and bring light to even the darkest of places.